Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Women in Cricket virtual discussion. My name is Shari Ross, and I do marketing at the Barbados Cricket Association. However, my job here today is to host a wonderful panel of persons who would have been directly involved in women's cricket in Barbados. Before we start, let me just say that the reason for doing this is we are in the month of celebrating women, and we thought that rightfully give props and credit to those women involved in cricket, because it is not all the time that we do it, and we thought now would be the perfect time. And with no further ado, I would introduce our panel and give a short background on everyone. We have Mrs. Betty Lewis Brown, we have Shakera Selman, we have Conde Riley, and we have Hayley Matthews. So now I will read everyone's bio so that you have some background intel on everyone. Conde joined the BCA Board of Directors in 1996 and has been the BCA president for 4 years. He is currently on the board as one of the directors of the West Indies. He received the Gold Crown Merit last year, one of Barbados' top honors, and was also made an officer of the British Empire in the Queen's 2020 New Year honors in December. For many decades, his unquestionable passion for the development, both the men and women game on the island is truly remarkable. Hayley began playing for the Barbados national cricket team at the age of 12. She is currently one of the leading West Indies women all-rounders and has also played domestic cricket in Australia. Her sporting versatility has extended to her representation for Barbados in the javelin throw at several international track and field competitions, including the 2015 Carifta Games. She undoubtedly has all the talent and skills to significantly impact the game and continue the rich tradition of female Caribbean cricketers who have displayed their outstanding and cricketing skills in the international arena. We have Miss Betty Lewis Brown. Betty is a former BCA board member serving since 2017 and manager of women's cricket team. Her role was to give support in creating policy that would give direction for the continued development of cricket in Barbados. She was also West Indies team manager, Barbados women's team manager, and girls team manager in 2019. She was a marketing executive at the former Barbados Tourism Authority. We have Shakera Selman. Shakera is a former captain of the successful Barbados women's senior team and currently plays international cricket for the West Indies female team as one of our leading fast bowlers. She was named in the West Indies squad for the 2018 ICC Women's World T20 tournament in the Caribbean, and also in the West Indies women's squad for the ICC Women's T20 World Cup in Australia. Last month in Antigua, she had her first television commentator stint for ESPN. This recent exposure provides Shakera with the wonderful opportunity to expand her global brand and be a voice for the promotion of women's cricket in the region. And with that being said, let's dive right in. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Shari.
Shari.
Good evening.
All right, so I will start with the ICC recently announced that women's global cricket will be expanded, and it has created such a much sparked discussion among everyone. So my first question will be to Mr. Riley. What are the BCA's plans now that they have heard that new announcement?
Well, we have a new development plan which was put on hold because of COVID. It was supposed to be launched in 2019, but with government basically shutting down all sports, we had to close the BCA office, close down the Center of Excellence and so on. But it is on paper, and the chairman of the cricket committee, Calvin Hope, is also director of Cricket West Indies, so he had a hint that that's where we were going at Cricket West Indies. And that is a major part of our development plan. And that's to do with women's cricket, starting at the schools, etc. And having a bit more intensive training program at the Center of Excellence with a specific or specific coaches, I should say, responsible for women's cricket. We discussed one of your players joining us in due course. I don't want to call that name right now, but I'm sure you all will be happy to have her back and around women's cricket. So we are planning. We also intend through a government program, which the Prime Minister had spoken to 2 years ago, but again, COVID intervened. It's called cricket, the expansion of cricket in the communities, where a former Barbados captain, Conde Riley, he wrote the paper, and it is ready to be unfolded in the communities and so on, as soon as we get the green light to restart cricket. So we are well on the way. We're not waiting on anything. And as soon as that happens, we will have a meeting with all the lady cricketers in Barbados so that everybody will be on the same page and take suggestions from you all as well as to whether the direction that we want to go is something that you all will endorse and support.
I find that girls tend to shy away from cricket now. And so what are your plans in order to get these young female cricketers, like from age 7 and 8 and 9, what are the plans to get them back into cricket? I know there's a mandate from Herman Griffiths saying that a girl should be on the team, but sometimes it's very unlikely because girls are shying away from the game. So what are you going to do about that?
Well, when we started the Center of Excellence back then, it was just about, sport and, getting efficient and so on. But now we have some wonderful female cricketers who have chosen cricket as a career. And a number of parents have asked me how their, girls can get involved and so on. I try to suggest to them, start at the primary school level where there's the Herman Griffith competition. They probably wouldn't get into the team like from 7, but once they get close to doing 11 plus, around 9, 10, 11, as they develop, they will probably, if they're good enough, be able to make the boys team in the Herman Griffith. Some teams already have 1 or 2 girls in their teams, but we need to now focus on that. I discussed it with Neil Morrow from the National Sports Council, and we need to take it a step further. And I'm sure that you ladies on this discussion would help us, and by being role models, talking to some of the primary schools and letting them know what cricket has done for you. I'm sure that if you hadn't played cricket, you would not have traveled the world as you've done so far. And I think cricket, as former President Joel Garrett used to say, is the best way to see the world doing something that you love. And that's something that I'm sure you all can do lectures and talks at the primary schools, especially to the young ladies, to excite them and show them that cricket can be a worthwhile and viable career. So for senior female ladies to inspire the youngsters in the schools, especially from the primary level.
And what about scholarships and opportunities for the women? Because sometimes you will see a male more getting that opportunity than the females. I know we have one female, we have Alyssa Scantlebury, but what about in the future where we can get more females coming in to get these equal opportunities?
Yeah, we recently had some requests from some ladies to go off to Canada, but unfortunately it came at a bad time. COVID, one, and secondly, when government shut down all of the shops and arcades and so on, it meant that our main revenue stream from the lottery went to zilch, because shops couldn't open, arcades couldn't open, and that's where we get our revenue. Fortunately, IGT, which is the lottery, or the two, Cage and IGT. IGT is the one that runs the Super Lotto, Mega 6, and so on. They felt that they should contribute to us, and they have given us a sum for the month that we were shut down because of COVID. And that has helped us. But getting back to the scholarships and so on, that is something that we have to give balance where the women are concerned, because right now, although we have a fair set of men in the Western team, we also have a very high percentage of women from Barbados playing for West Indies. So it's something that our scholarships and placement committee, which is chaired by Winston Stafford, is taking a look at as we speak. So that's on the table as well. Mm-hmm. Our women make us very proud. When the women came back from Ghana last year, I think they had won every single trophy in the T20 and 50 over except one, which I think was most captains or something like that. But they won every single thing else. And we are extremely proud of the way they performed for Barbados and West Indies. So we can't take that lightly.
I weigh in at this point? Oh yeah, no, I am glad that the president made the points that he did, because 2 years ago when I was a director, I had submitted a paper for a tournament for the primary school, because again, if we are looking for emerging players, if we are looking for new talent, we had to start at the bottom where the little kids are. And I guess I don't know which file this paper is in, but it was brought for conversation, because women need to play more cricket. We need to play more cricket than what we are playing right now. If you look at it, we only have one tournament for the women a year, and that's it. I mean, we do the Iris Walk, I think, but it is not the same. So we need to be, the girls need to be playing more cricket. First thing, they need to be playing more cricket. The other thing is that sometimes you feel as though, like the women, we're treated like the stepchild on the side. I'm glad the president here, because I'm going to say my piece this evening. No so problem. You feel like the women are like the stepchildren.
Yeah.
We need to move from that. If you look at it, cricket as the game it is, every young man that plays cricket, he has one goal: to play for the West Indies. So for women, the same thing. With any young girl that is playing cricket, her focus is to play for the West Indies.
Yeah.
I'm sure when she started, you ask Hayley, you ask Shakera, that's your goal, or, like that's the vision, that's the journey, the path that you want to go. You want to play for the West Indies. We need to create enough cricket for them to develop. I don't feel camp is where you develop. Camp is where you go to fine tune and tweak. So we need to have games that are up and running. We need to do things differently. If it means that we have to co-op with another island and do like a Barbados versus a Leeward, we need to play more cricket, because that's what is going to build and develop the players. Again, with the scholarships, I raised it again in the president, I raised it in the boardroom. You can't be giving scholarships to men and not recognizing the women. Even those things make a difference in the player. If you have women, a team and players who are interested in cricket, and they know that they have an opportunity to get a scholarship, that's going to give them more focus and more determination, etc. So those are things that need to come on the table, and come on the table fair, so that the women get a chance in that area.
You guys will know that I was privileged to have coach at Sports Council a couple of years ago. I think that ended about a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. And when that ended, I left suggestions for Sports Council. And it was also about starting a tournament in the primary schools. I get very much that there's this stipulation where you're trying to encourage at least one girl on every team, but that's clearly not enough. I played back in 2000 or something for my primary school team, and I can't tell you how many other girls have played for St. George since. So that's clearly not enough. And I think besides having that, we also need to learn from what other countries are doing. And there's Trinidad right next door, and they have a very, very fruitful competition, a very healthy competition for women. And I don't see why we can't do that in Barbados.
Absolutely.
What they've done is they've started with softball, and I've been suggesting that, because the truth is, when you go into the schools, even the boys are frightened to play with the hardball. I saw that firsthand coaching. So if we can start a softball tournament, because I think competitions are rewarding enough to encourage people to play. So like Betty said, we need to have more competitions. we just need to play more cricket, and we need to find a way to make cricket more appealing for the girls. It is the most viable sport in the Caribbean still, but there aren't enough opportunities.
If we want, because if Barbados wants to keep on a winning track and we want to go back and we want to win some other tour, at some point, Shakera, they can't do it all the time. We need to have a nursery coming through where we can say, well, we're going to add some juniors with them and start to create that whole, that succession pathway that is required. So we have to do something about it. We have to. And I know COVID came, but a lot of this happened before COVID, and the players are frustrated. The other thing too, I got players from the West. I got Hayley sitting here, and it's not them, but I've had players that say to me, but Manish, how come the men that play for the West Indies can get a duty-free car? We play for West Indies and we can't get a duty-free car.
Well, you don't even have to say not us, because we are wondering that too. We met with the Minister of Sport after we won the World Cup. It was Hayley.
Equality. Where is this equality? Where is it? You know what I mean? Y'all should, the women that play for West Indies should have that right, like the men, to purchase a car duty free.
And I think too, even going back to the same gender equality, you can look at something as simple as, for example, you can have a female player here in Barbados who is literally on the verge of playing for West Indies, been doing well for Barbados for the last 3-4 years, and yet it's still getting nothing out of the sport, reaping zero rewards out of the sport. And I think if you're a male and you're on the verge of West Indies, you've been into West Indies A camps, you're still able to make a lifestyle for yourself out of that. While with female cricket, you could be doing well for a number of years. Like I said, being on the verge of West Indies team, just on the tip, getting into camps, but still reaping absolutely no rewards out of cricket. So then you have to take your time and effort away from cricket and put it into something that can then further benefit you and benefit your life, which is not fair at all, and just goes back to gender equality on a whole.
And let me just take a pin there a minute. Also about equal pay and equal prize money. I know that has also been one of the topics that we always hear, and I would love to hear your opinion on that.
Well, I think honestly for me, I think it's a case where this is not me vouching to say, okay, well, it has to be equal pay or it shouldn't be equal pay or whatever the case is. But I think at the same time, you can kind of understand why at that point in time, the pay could not exactly be equal. Like you do realize, okay, men, when they go to play, they make money for the boards. You know, a lot of people come to watch men's cricket. Like you can understand a situation like that. But at the same time, I feel like the gap is way too big. And the way to help women's cricket go to get to the heights that men's cricket is at now is by investing in the sport.
On the umbrella, I believe that the women's team in Barbados is strong enough that they should have their own individual sponsorship as a team. Caribbean beaters, that's what we are. And you can't take that from us. So it is using all the things that we have, all the good things, the positive things. We need to act. We need to be proactive. We need to get in there and start doing things. There's a good thing about COVID and there's a bad thing. The good thing about COVID is that we didn't have to do a tournament since COVID. So technically we are still the winners. We're still champions. So you still have the messaging that can be used to create that partnership that we're looking for. And I think it is time for the women to have a individual sponsor. They stand out on their own. If you don't do these things, we will just kind of say, oh, the women don't make money. But the cricket, the level of cricket that comes out of our women team is just as good as any of the other teams around the world that we can attract. And the thing about it, we started to attract people. So people are getting interested in the women's cricket. So the opportunities are there. We can't lag on it. So you need to go back to that and see what you can do about it. But I don't think we should lag at this point. The women, they want something that they want to know that I'm playing cricket because of. I'm making a contribution to this sport because of. If you go home at night and you ask those questions and you don't have an answer, you fall in, you don't feel it anymore. And as you know, cricket is something that requires passion. If you don't have passion, hey.
And you know, the other thing, the Barbados Cricket Association is the only cricket association. When we started the PRMM back in 2014, I think it was, we decided after you know, look, the ladies had to be paid. We couldn't pay all at the same time, but we started. And then when I remember speaking at West Indies level, and I said to Cameron, amateurs don't beat professionals. He said, but you know, Barbados is fortunate, this, that. I said, but no, we have to, on the finance committee, we have to set aside a percentage of money where 15 men across the Caribbean being paid. No, we need to pay women as well. Hence, we expanded from 15 males to 120, inclusive of the female team in terms of contracts and so on. So it's not that, it's certainly not me. I always believe that if you allow people to remain as amateurs, they have no incentive to really perform, and they'll always get beaten. Fortunately, the Barbados women have two bites to the cherry, because I was in a meeting the other day and we were talking about the Commonwealth Games. This was a meeting with the Minister of Sport and the Cricket West Indies people and so on. But we can market the team, the Barbados women's team.
I'm talking about the team.
Right, yeah. So it's not dead on us. And recently, a number of people that were involved with women when they were very, very young, Alfred Campbell, Richard Clark, a whole set of people. Pat Whitaker, who is in the States now, I think she's a lawyer. Yeah. She has a big interest now in what we're doing and so on and so forth.
She still does. She sends me messages. Yeah, she still does.
So, and I so hope that this certainly will not be the last time that we get together, so you can at least express your feelings to me.
Yes.
Have me talk to you. And Betty will tell you that, you know, I am a very receptive person when it comes to things like this, especially when you're doing things that make us very, very proud at the BCA. So you have a right to fight.
I think one of the things we need to take into consider, that tournament that is done in Trinidad, where Hayley all go down and play, we have enough, whatever the infrastructure, we have it all here as well. We should start to look at how we can create a tournament. It might not, the first one might not be at the level, of course, of where Trinidad is right now, but we need to start. We have to start somewhere, because the women are just not playing enough cricket. It's not enough cricket. Look at it. Y'all went into camp a couple of weeks ago and now you're back home. You know what I mean? The cricket is not thing, and the girls need to play to stay focused. Playing makes them stay focused. It makes them stay fit. You understand? And it keeps the passion burning. But if nothing is happening, we all go, like, you know, go to sleep. Hey, you know, you were saying something, Hayley.
Yeah, and I think in the same sense too, we can look at the Trinidad program that they have. And I mean, Barbados wins tournaments at the moment because we have a lot of natural talent that comes out of Barbados.
Yes.
But at the same time, I think when we look at West Indies versus the rest of the world, we had a lot of natural talent coming out to the West Indies, which has now been passed by many teams because they had the right structures in place for the girls in those other countries to be able to work and then improve their game and be able to perform better than us. And I think if it's a case now that we wait too long to put these right structures in place here in Barbados themselves, we're going to see teams like Trinidad probably pass us on in the future because of the structures they have built. So, yeah, it's definitely something that needs to be noted. Those structures in place as early as possible to make sure that our natural talent is not only natural talent, but it's natural talent that's worked on and trained in order to become even better.
Let me just share something with you. Oh, sorry. Let me just share something. Going off to the World Cup. Was it last year? When was the World Cup? Because I can't remember.
Yeah, last year.
It was 2020?
Yeah.
Right. So we went off to the World Cup. And when you looked at the other teams and you look at the kind of infrastructure and the development that are on those teams, we were way behind. We were way behind. When you look at those girls, the training, the fitness, the backroom staff, when you look at, you know, and most of those girls, if not all, they're really professional cricketers. They don't go worry to rush back to get to a job to get $10, you know what I mean? This is what they do, right? And I mean, looking at it from a regional perspective and a CW or whatever, we need to start putting those kind of infrastructure, development and money into the game. If you're serious about a women's team, that's what has to happen. Else we are going to be left behind. Go on, Sally.
the biggest testament to that is what's happening in South Africa. We see South Africa was just able to defeat India, and they're number 2 in the world or something. And many people are asking why we haven't done as well as they've expected us to do in the last couple of years. But that has a lot to do with the investment that everyone has made into their teams. And South Africa just momentum pulled out of sponsoring the men's team and continue to sponsor the women. And as a result, you can see the women doing really well. So until we are willing to really make that investment, I mean, again, I'm happy that the president has said that they're doing things, they have things in the works. But until we are willing to do that, then we're always going to be stagnant and left behind. And I need to ask, he spoke about the investment. Are we planning to contract girls in Barbados again? Because many girls have stopped playing because they don't even have bus fare.
And I tell you something, I felt very badly during COVID when someone was telling me about some hardship that some of our Barbados players were going through. And that's something that I've raised with the chairman of the cricket committee, Calvin Hope, where we have to take them very seriously. They're very young too, but during COVID, a lot of their parents weren't working and things became very, very, very tough. Yeah. And I got some calls that, you know, touched my heart. So that is something that we most definitely will be doing, especially for the girls who are, somebody mentioned, I can't remember if it's you, Hayley, or dear Miss Selman. But it was to do with ensuring that these young ladies are looked after and kept, you know, focused. Otherwise, we will lose them.
You will. You will.
Because if you're not being treated as a professional cricketer, although you may not be in the West Indies women's team, but you're playing for Barbados, then you should be looked after. Once you're not on contract with Cricket West Indies, but you're playing for Barbados, you have to be looked after. And right now, who's the current coach for the women? Or who's most of the coaching at the Center of Excellence? Is it Ben, Laspert? What was it?
So Corey and Corey works with the team, and I think Ben is around.
Okay.
I'm not sure who's in charge though.
All right, but no, that's something that we must refocus on, especially the young ladies who are not on West Indies duty or contract, so that we in Barbados should be looking after them to keep them focused, interested, and ensuring that they're not suffering in any way, you know.
I wanted to say to the president, Hayley draw the example just now, where you have instances where even some of the players don't have bus fare. Mm-hmm. Again, I go back to the president and the board, because that's a conversation we had. I made a suggestion. By now, the BCA should own its own bus, as in coach. What you call a coach, a bus, right?
We have it here, Betty. We have the quotation from NASCO for the bus.
You understand? Because the same bus, hello, you can create a meeting point for the women. They have that, and they know that they have transportation to and back.
Yeah. We have the quotation from NASCO. At least we have one, as well as thing, but then NASCO shut down too. So anyway, we hope that one thing.
But that's okay. I'm just saying, I'm putting all the options on the table for you, sir, so that you understand these are areas that can make the game better for the players. That's Absolutely. It. That's it.
I'm on board with that.
If I could jump in here, Shari, before you ask the next question, we've spoken about funding and investment. I think where everything needs to start is we need to have people involved with women's cricket who really care about the women. Absolutely. And I am going to say too often we found people working with the women as a means to an end. So they're working with the women to get to the men's team. So if we can start by having people who are genuinely interested in improving the women's game, that's when we're going to move forward. I am not sure how y'all are going to go about ascertaining whether it's genuine or not, but that's where it needs to start.
Let me say something to you. In everything that you do, you should always have a champion. That's how I put out thing or strategize. You should always have a champion. And I'm putting up my hand, because when I got involved in women's cricket, it was passionate, and it was about developing y'all women. I gave it from my heart. There was no agenda, you ain't coming in, like you say, for the means to this and move on. I don't want to move on today. I just wanted to make sure that they were all good. Good. And what happened?
All right, my next question to the president is that, yes, you have cricket playing, but there are also various occupations that women can do. There's umpiring, there's refereeing, there's coaching. So what are the plans for the BCA in order to train these young ladies to do different jobs like this?
Right. There's a paper that I had done, well, back in 2008, and it had the various pathways for a cricketer from junior cricket, senior cricket, West Indies cricket, umpiring, match refereeing, scoring, etc. Right now in Barbados, we had run a workshop so many years ago by Donald Boxell that most of the people that score in Barbados are females. Now, there must be a pathway also for women as umpires, and one for analysts, because once you play with all the different computer analytical stuff that right now is available, we have people like Gary Bell, who's moved on to Cricket West Indies and so on, and there must be a program and a pathway in each area of the sport. And certainly, I find that ladies, once they start, they are more focused. You'll find guys start out scoring, and then I remember when young Leslie Reefer couldn't get into the Barbados junior team. We put him in the pathway because he knew all the rules and so on. And he used to be around his father, who used to play for police and so on. And he knew the rules. And I said to him, why don't you do the umpire's exam? He did it. Now he's ICC associate umpire. And will be soon in the top ranks, you know. Himself, Joe Wilson, East Trinidad, and so on. We encourage them. Gregory Brathwaite is one of those guys that we push through that pathway. And Berlin. But most of the time, you know, because of, at that time, it wasn't as lucrative. But now it is you can make a good living out of umpiring. So that plan is already, it's in a book here, which I have right in front of me, which I did present to the board in April 2008. It's a pathway for cricketers in each area of cricket. And I had that there. So yes, the answer is yes. We are thinking about it. And there must be, I always say there must be a life after you finish playing. And you, ladies, are well players, haven't played the game. You have the knowledge. And you can fit easily into umpiring, being an analyst, commentator, I see. Shakera doing that and doing very well. And most of you are very artists. They're very smart.
So here's the thing, right? Okay, you have players, but then you have to you have to have a structure where you determine where you're going to start to provide what we call that extra development. People always think that when we talk of training, is like they're on the field, how many hours a day and so on. I believe that there are other areas of training that needs to come into play. And also some a mentor or somebody that can, you know, when to start to have those conversations where you will now start to look at the different technicals of cricket, the direction it will go. Because you're not going to play cricket forever, as you know, right? And once you identify a niche and you think that's your area and that's your strength, you should be able then to have help in terms of starting to train you and put you in that direction so that you still have a life, right? Cricket, actually the playing of cricket is a pretty short life, you know. It's really short because you can be playing, you can get injured, and then that's the end of the career. You can how many years you can play cricket? I mean, if I'm correct, I think women probably even play more longer than the guys in terms of the age thing. But you still have to start thinking about life after, and you still have to have a future. You got to prepare yourself. You have families. The players, they want to have homes like everybody else too. They want to have, you know what I mean? They want to know that they've got some money put aside. They want to know that they've got a pension plan. All those things. Those are the kind of conversations that the association needs to start having with the players so that they have someone to guide them in that kind of direction. It should happen.
All right. So my next question. Recently, probably like a month ago, we would have seen a photo circulating on social media where a young female cricketer was with a group of guys and she was the captain. And it was an insinuation that girls should not captain a boys' team, or just because it is a girl, that it should not be done that way, that cricket is a male sport. So I just wanted to hear your views on that.
I think I can recall Hayley captaining our college on the 15 team because she was that good. And I don't think that that's something that should be very gender-based.
Absolutely.
But to me, it should make the guys play better. It certainly would have made me try to play better. Play the lady that was captain. So I don't have a strict position. That's something for the school, you know, individual school.
Also look at the fact that it starts to put you in terms of leadership. How do you develop your leadership skills? And again, if you want to talk gender equality, I mean, what's wrong? If my teacher identifies I've got X amount of leadership skills or favorite again, and I have the opportunity, that's part of the player's development as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think for me, like my biggest problem with that entire issue was the fact that the person who made the statement was somebody who had a lot to do with the sporting organization. And I think, like what Shakera was saying earlier, we need to have people in places who actually care about female sport. Because he could be very well someone to come and deal with a female team and not care one bit about it, just doing it because that's his job at the given time when he just wants to get further to get onto the men. And I think that's the whole problem without it. We need to stop being that stepping stone or that pretty much that stepping stone to advancing personal agendas and personal goals. We need to be looked at as a team and players and be given the facilities and be given the resources and be given the staff of people who actually want to help us and help us to improve our game. Because I think at the end of the day, if you're going to be a coach or a president or anything of the above, your goal is to help these teams improve, whether it be a female team or a male team. So yeah, I think that was just the biggest problem for me there.
Yeah, I was very disappointed with it. I just want to say it shouldn't have anything to do with whether she's a female or not. She clearly was the best person to lead the team, and the coach made that decision. And any other opinion is merely sexist.
Yeah. Before I go, I just wanted to. I know the ladies would have lost their coach.
Yeah, I was getting to that. Yeah.
And I want you all to come up with something that we can have in his memory. I want to come from you all because I know he was very keen on women's cricket. And somebody mentioned earlier, you want someone that really likes it and they're not just doing it as a stepping stone. He had spoken to me 2 weeks before that accident about the preparation of the team, tournament or no tournament, but actually having the girls or the young ladies prepared for the Commonwealth Games, the West Indies team, and so on and so forth, as soon as possible, even if you had to do virtual stuff. And that Saturday morning really hit me. So I'm going to ask you all to put your heads together and come up with something. I don't want to come from the board. I want to come from you all. I know you all have a lot of respect for him, and I'm sure you all will come with something suitable that we can put in place in his memory.
And not only that, I believe that the young ladies could work alongside the marketing team to really get it out there in Ezra's memory. Yeah. And also, we just want to say condolences to his family, his friends. We really lost a great person who was an advocate for women's cricket in Barbados.
Absolutely.
I think when you talk about the epitome of someone that was in it for the love of women's cricket and looking to move it forward, he was probably one of those people at the forefront of it. So
absolutely,
it was that perfect example of exactly what we were speaking about.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I really look forward to seeing where we go from here. To everyone on the panel, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to sitting down and having another forum because I feel that this should be something continuously done so that the president will always be on board so that we know where to go from here. So thank you, everyone. And for everyone who watched, thank you for doing this and watching with us, and stay safe. And we look forward to seeing everyone soon. Any last
Thank
words
you for inviting me. Thank you, Ollie. I totally enjoyed it as well. Thank you. And stay safe and have a good weekend.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Bye-bye.
President.
You're welcome.